So John Kelly, who is, of course, the adult in the Trump administration, he's the chief of staff. And let's be clear. Not only, I think a lot of people recognized in the past couple of days, and if they hadn't recognized it before, God knows why, when he suggested that the Civil War happened because, like, there were honorable people on both sides and whatnot, that this is a bad person with, at the most charitable, a very deluded and dangerous and at least at best inadvertently profoundly racist view of American history in America. But this like adult in the room guy who's like ashamed by Trump, he ran ICE for this first several months of this fucking administration. Okay, do you know what it entails to run that? Even in, and I'm not making a false equivalency because it's absolutely worse under Trump, but under Obama or any administration, it's a brutal organization. So he's terrorizing immigrants. There's not like this fantasy that these military guys are going to save you it's not just a fantasy. It's profoundly dangerous.
And it's actively being exploited.
And it's actively being exploited. And it will actively be exploited when this asshole writes a book in a couple of years where he's like, yeah, Trump is really fucked up and I will be on The View now. Thank you. And we whitewash all of his, abominable behavior. So he said that General Lee was an honorable man. And this is another reason that this matters, because, of course, it's like this should already be settled history. I don't want, some German to tell me that a, SS officer was an honorable man. If you're a black person in America, I don't think you want to hear that a renegade terrorist general who owned people was an honorable guy, okay? Or conversely, if we're going to open that up and be that relativistic, then it's like, hey, you could by that metric basically call anybody honorable in certain contexts.
Let's talk about Fidel.
Well, I'm going to just say Che, they were.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm like saying, like, by the metric that John Kelly used, Osama bin Laden's honorable.
Right.
And I don't want to use that metric because these are all like mass murdering lunatics. So the correct answer is neither Osama bin Laden or General Lee are honorable. And they're also actually quite similar. They're religious fanatic slave-holding mass murderers who attacked the United States. So how about, though, not only this is where a slippery slope actually does happen, because as soon as you open the door to that, now Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is just a grotesque, horrific, vile human, is going to be asked about this, and she's going to make a funny mistake about the Kennedy presidency, but she's now going to be asked about Nathan Bedford Forrest, who literally was just the founder of the Ku Klux Klan. There isn't even like the historical bob and weave about this guy, and watch what happens.
Look, all of our leaders have flaws. Washington, Jefferson, JFK, Roosevelt, Kennedy. That doesn't diminish their contributions to our country, and it certainly can't erase them from our history. And General Kelly was simply making the point that just because history isn't perfect doesn't mean that it's not our history.
Let me follow up. You are a proud daughter of the South. When you see Nathan, like a statue as they had in Memphis, of someone like Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was responsible for the Fort Pillow massacre, and other folks like that, is there a differentiation? Do you think there are certain Confederate figures who don't deserve to be honored, like Nathan Bedford Forrest?
Look, I don't think that we should sit here and debate every moment of history. I think those moments took place. There are moments that we're going to be a lot less proud of than others, but we can't erase the fact that they happened. I think you have to determine where that line is. The president has said that those are something that should be left up to state and local governments, and that's not who I'm here representing today, so I'm not going to get into the back and forth on it.
I will never judge the Castro regime again for what they did to the Batista regime. Ever. Every day that I watch these motherfucking people. And I really do hope each one of them ends up in prison. But, okay, we're not debating what happened in history. Here's a simple answer. Yeah, that's beyond the pale because he was a founder of a mass murder terrorist organization. Also, if you're so obsessed with states' rights and localities, and Matt's made this point before, it's the city of Charlottesville itself that was deciding to take these things down. And also, you know, George Washington, and this should really appeal to anybody who is going to do any type of patriotic spiel about this country. Here's a distinction. He is a flawed person who founded this country, of which the people you're defending were a break-off renegade slave army attempted to destroy. So even if you want to do like real old school patriotic New England and Virginia shit, that's actually offensive again, that you'd ever equate the person that founded this versus the people who tried to destroy it because they just couldn't give up slavery. And by the way, not just slavery because, you know, they were immoral and they were assholes, they were racist. Slavery because that was the economy of the time, and that was how they did capitalism. And it wasn't inevitably going to go away because of capitalism, which is the other fantasy that gets trot out during these talking points and during these times. And you're just going to, and this is also, by the way, why the false equivalency around Hillary and Trump was so stupid and does matter, because this is a big part of what a presidency is. It's just telling national stories and setting cultural tempo. And so it matters when this disgusting, vile person says this stuff. And it matters when the chief of staff, who a bunch of idiot liberals want to give respect to because he's a general, says something like this.
I think the frame that they're trying to, and all these issues, that they're the history protectors.
Right.
Just read every time, or hear every time they say history, mythology, right? They're trying to protect a mythology, and they don't want to argue about it or historicize it or debate about it because they want to leave it as a mythology.
Right.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos